Back in 2014, three 12-year-old girls, little school friends, went roller skating, then back to one of their houses for a sleepover. The following day, they went to the park to play. And the next thing we knew, two were missing, and one was being rushed to the hospital having been stabbed 19 times, including one that nicked her heart. This is a case that captured everyone's attention because just how scary the entire thing is, and it's not over yet. Stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, hello there, my friend, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being here for another true crime discussion with me. My name is Gavin Fish. This is my channel, and here we like to cut through the fluff and sensationalism of true crime, get right into the nitty-gritty, and talk about cases that affect us all. And if that's your thing, then you've found the right place, and I'm glad you have. I hope you stick around. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Peyton Leitner, who at the age of 12, here she's a little bit older, I think she's about 15 in this photo, but at the age of 12, she was attacked by two of her friends who stabbed her 19 times. Including one, like to the chest and abdomen, to her arms, but including one that nicked her heart and was, maybe a millimeter away from causing her to just die instantly. It just so close. And we're going to get into it. Before we do, a couple things. Number one, always remember in the live chat, and if you're part of the rewatch crew, in the chat box, please tell me where you're listening from. And I don't know. I just love that. And number two, just one quick announcement. Today is Tuesday, November 25th when we're doing this. On Monday, December 1st, we're changing our normal streaming time from 7:30 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern in an effort to actually kind of align to what most people are doing on YouTube at the time. My analytics are telling me go earlier, and that's going to help us too, because a lot of my viewers watch Joel's show and Josh's show. I'm talking about Surviving the Survivor and Courtroom Confidential, and by moving forward, we won't be talking over each other. I won't be stepping on anybody. So hopefully that's going to work out well for everyone, and I hope that you will stick around when we make that switch. Okay, before we get into today's story, let's check out some headlines.
True crime headlines!
Wow! Okay. In this segment, we just take a quick look-see at what is going on in true crime before we get into the story that we're really going to focus on today. We're going to move through it pretty darn quickly. But there are some stories going on, guys, that seem to be conflicting with one another. So let's read this one. This is a story from the New York Post today. Remember, yesterday we talked about Celeste Rivas Hernandez. We talked about how there are sources saying that she was frozen, that she was decapitated, and now we've got at least two media outlets, the Post and People, saying, no, cops are saying that is not correct, that she was not frozen, she was not decapitated. So this written by Anthony Blair. The body of a missing 14-year-old found in the trunk of singer David's Tesla in September was not frozen, nor was she decapitated, according to police, as they looked to debunk some of the rumors about the tragic teen's death. Celeste Rivas Hernandez's remains were discovered in a car on September 8th, one day before her 15th birthday, after it was impounded in the Hollywood Hills. This is a story that we've been covering a lot here on the channel. Last week, it was reported that her remains were partially frozen and dismembered, leaving the LA County medical examiner struggling to determine her official cause of death, sources told TMZ. Police have now denied those reports. Quote, Celeste's body was not frozen. She was not decapitated. The whole frozen thing doesn't even make sense. Her body was in the car for weeks, LAPD captain and commanding officer of Robbery Homicide Division Scott Williams told People. Even if she had been frozen solid when she was put in the car, which there is no evidence to suggest she was, 5 or more weeks in the trunk of a car in sweltering heat in the middle of summer would not have resulted in a partially frozen body being discovered on September 8th. Yesterday when we were talking about this, I thought, well, then maybe she wasn't in that car for weeks. Maybe she was in that car for a couple days, something like that. Rivas Hernandez, blah, 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 it just kind of recaps here. And says the official cause of death has not been released as law enforcement is awaiting results of toxicology report from the medical examiner, the source said. Authorities have also not determined when exactly Rivas Hernandez died. So we've got conflicting reports. This one is from a named source, a captain and commanding officer of robbery homicide, Scott Williams. So we will continue to keep our eye on that. Next headline. This is in the Ashley Buzzard case, right? We have been talking about Melody Buzzard all month. Well, let's see, September, right? What was it? September? I can't remember exactly. Anyway, Ashley Buzzard says she left daughter Melody with couple she met at zoo, according to Tyler Brewer. Now, remember, Mr. Brewer was the man who accused Ashley Buzzard of kind of taking him hostage, keeping him from leaving, and those charges were dropped. Okay. Tyler S. Brewer, the man who accused Ashley Buzzard of false imprisonment, tells News Nation the mother of missing 9-year-old Melody Buzzard. She said she left Melody in Utah with a couple she met at the zoo. Which, if that were true, that would indicate a severe mental health crisis, I think, or a mental health issue. Brewer joined Banfield on Monday night. That would have been yesterday, 42 days since Melody was last seen near the Colorado-Utah border, to discuss what Ashley, a longtime acquaintance, relayed to him about her daughter. Brewer clarified he was merely relaying what Ashley shared with him during his visit to her Lompoc, California home since Melody's disappearance, and he could not be sure what information, if any, was truthful. He alleges that upon asking Ashley whether Melody had been killed or trafficked, she began fake crying and did not answer the question. Quote, I don't want to believe that she could have hurt Melody at all because I think that she does love Melody in her own way. But the fact that she won't give me a clear yes or no answer makes me extremely uncomfortable, Brewer said. And you can continue to read that on News Nation. So I don't know. I mean, he told police one thing. Melody had clandestinely, apparently, recorded the conversation. And when that was played for the judge was like, no. So is Mr. Brewer a credible witness? I guess I don't know enough yet about Mr. Brewer to determine whether he is credible or not. Moving on, do you guys remember Adam Beckerink? Remember, he is the husband who is on trial. Well, he has been charged anyway for the murder of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. We covered this story just a couple of weeks ago. It was late October that he was charged in her death. It was October of 2024, where she fell 24 stories in a Chicago high-rise to her death. Anyway, Adam Beckerink, he has pleaded guilty to violating bond in a Michigan court. Dateline Chicago. Chicago tax attorney Adam Beckerink pleaded guilty to another contempt of court charge in Michigan on Monday. The I-Team first reported on that charge last month after we obtained a police report about an incident this summer when Beckerink was intoxicated at a court-ordered drug test. Well, what a winner. Oh my goodness. You show up for a drug test intoxicated? Come on. This guy has problems. One of them is that he's a murderer, I think. Allegedly. It's my opinion. but wow. For now, Becker Inc. will remain in the Berrien County, Michigan jail to continue serving his sentence for DV charges. He faces extradition to Cook County on a Chicago police warrant for the murder, of his 36-year-old wife, Caitlin Tracy. Guys, I just woke up from a nap. Can you tell? I just wanted a 17-minute snooze. Those 17-minute snoozes worked well for my father, and the metamorphosis is nearly complete. I am pretty much my own father. Okay, Becker Inc. walked into court Monday morning after serving more than a month of his sentence for DV and contempt of court charges. He pleaded no contest to abusing his late wife in Michigan. Instead of a suit and styled hair, he was dressed in an olive green jail jumpsuit for his hearing, along with a new haircut and glasses. Let's take a look at him. He's covering the old forehead, which I don't blame him, because I want to do the same thing. I've got a giant forehead, but this is what he looked like in his mugshot. So yeah, okay. So pleaded guilty again. All right, last one comes to us from Crime Cod. Rapper Pras Michael, I don't follow him. I'm sorry. Sentenced to 14 years for political conspiracy theme. Written by Kate Bird. Dateline, Washington, D.C. Rap artist Michelle, is it? Was sentenced, or Michael, Michelle looks like, was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison in Washington, D.C. court, closing out his conviction in a complex $100 million political conspiracy case. U.S. District Judge Colleen Codley delivered the sentence more than 2 years after Michelle was convicted. He was found guilty of 10 felony counts, including conspiracy, witness tampering, and serving as an unregistered agent of a foreign power. Michelle, 53, must also serve 3 years of probation following his release. Representatives for the musician confirmed to People. So he had 2 distinct schemes to influence the United States government on behalf of Malaysian financier Joe Low. Goodness. So yeah, check that out on Crime Cod. And those, my friends, are our headlines.
True crime headlines.
How? Alrighty. Okay. Why is it not coming back? Come on back. There we go. My computer is deciding to act slowly, I guess. Okay, guys, let's get back into the case at hand. I know that it's Morgan Geyser who is the subject of this, but I want to just keep in mind that we still have a victim in this case, Peyton Leutner, who was stabbed 19 times as a 12-year-old girl. Okay, now the 2 girls who stabbed Peyton were Morgan Geyser, this young woman here, of course she was 12 at the time, and Anissa Wire, this young woman here, who again was 12 at the time. This was back in 2014. Somebody do the math for us. That's 11 years now. So they are 23-ish, something like that. Okay. Now, both these young women pleaded guilty to, I think it was second-degree murder. I watched an entire ABC News 2020 thing from back in 2018 on this case. They both ended up pleading guilty to a second-degree attempted homicide, but it wasn't a guilty plea. Basically, they pleaded that they were criminally insane. And instead of prison time, they were each given up to, let's see, in the case of Morgan Geyser, it was 40 years. And in the case of Anissa Wire, it was up to 25 years in a state mental health institution. Now, I mean, the long and the short of it is that both of these young women are neither of these young women are in custody of that mental health institution at this point. They've both been released. Now, I wondered why, if they're facing up to 45 years or 40 years and 25 years, why were they out? And it is because I understand that it wasn't really a conviction. It was, well, they were found not guilty because of criminal insanity. And so they, for their own good, were put into this mental institution. And after it was determined that they were no longer a danger to themselves or others, they were released conditionally into society. Now, in the case of Morgan Geyser, she was in a group home for young women experiencing her same mental illness, which in this case is schizophrenia. And she had an ankle monitor on, and she decided a couple of days ago that she was going to cut her ankle monitor and flee. Now, this is in, of course, now I'm blanking on the name. Give me a second. Is it Waukesha or something like that? Let me open up the Washington Post. It was in Wisconsin. Let me actually just read this Washington Post article, okay? Slender Man attacker captured after cutting off GPS bracelet to escape. Morgan Geyser, who stabbed her classmate in 2014, escaped a group home in Wisconsin and was found in Illinois a day later. A woman convicted of repeatedly stabbing her 6th grade classmate in tribute to Slender Man. Slender Man, by the way, is a fictitious boogeyman who these 12-year-olds in their mental disease believed they believed that he required that they kill Peyton in order to protect their families. That was kind of the defense. Now, in Anissa's case, the prosecutors were like, no, she didn't even know that until after the deed was done. But in Morgan's case, that is what she claimed. Okay. So a mythical horror character was found in Illinois after escaping from her group home in Wisconsin over the weekend, police said. The Madison Police Department said it received notification at 10:34 p.m. Sunday that Morgan Geyser, 23, had been taken into custody. Geyser cut off her GPS monitoring bracelet and left the group home on Saturday night, the department wrote on Facebook. The department said Geyser was last seen in the area of Cronky Drive around 8 p.m. with an adult acquaintance and advised people to call 911 if they see her. Geyser's attorney, Tony Cotton, also posted a video statement on Instagram on Sunday calling on her to turn herself in. And then, let me just read a little bit more of this. In 2014, Geyser and her friend Anissa Wire lured their classmate Peyton Leitner into the woods in a Milwaukee suburb where Geyser stabbed Leitner 19 times with Wire's encouragement. All 3 girls were 12 at the time of the stabbing. Leitner survived the attack after crawling out of the woods and being found by a cyclist. I believe that. Geyser and Wire told detectives they were compelled to kill Leitner to become proxies or servants to Slender Man, an online creature typically depicted as a tall, shadowy figure with a featureless white face. The attackers said they feared for their and their family's safety if they didn't kill Leitner. In 2017, Wire pleaded guilty to second-degree attempted intentional homicide in a deal with prosecutors. She claimed she was not responsible for her actions because she was mentally ill at the time of the stabbing and was committed to 25 years in a mental hospital, the maximum punishment possible, the Associated Press reported at the time. Wire was released to live with her father in 2021 after spending almost 4 years at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute in Oshkosh, which I'm sure they pronounce Oshkosh. Geyser pleaded guilty in 2017 to attempted first-degree intentional homicide, claiming she was not criminally responsible and should not go to prison. She was committed the following year to 40 years in a mental hospital, the maximum punishment sought by prosecutors, the Post reported. In January of this year, Geyser was placed in a group home after being granted conditional release from the Winnebago Mental Health Institute, where she had spent almost 7 years. Judge Michael Bourne, I don't know, who also decided Geyser's sentencing in 2018, found that conditional release would not pose a significant risk of bodily harm to the defendant or other, according to notes from the hearing. According to Madison Police's timeline of Geyser's disappearance and subsequent apprehension, the Wisconsin Department of Corrections received an alert Saturday at around 9:30 p.m. that Geyser's GPS monitoring bracelet was malfunctioning. The DOC issued an apprehension request for Geyser at around midnight after the group home reported that Geyser was not there and left her monitoring bracelet. But the request was never relayed to Madison Police, the department said, noting that it only found out about Geyser. Listen to this. That it only found out that Geyser was missing after a missing person 911 call from the group home. There's just problems, man. We've got so many problems in our bureaucracy. The Wisconsin Department of Corrections did not immediately respond to a request for comment early Monday. Okay, so with that, I want to show you a clip, if I may. Let me bring it up right here. Okay, this, I think I just prepared, there was over an hour of body cam. This is about 5 minutes and 45 seconds long. In the purple hoodie there is Ms. Morgan Geyser, and the body cam obviously is on the person of a police officer in the Chicago area. Let's have a listen.
What? Come back. Okay? She
doesn't know my real name.
Okay. Well, give him your real name. Don't tell him.
I don't care about her right because they're dealing with you. Okay? Can't give you information? Why? Why can't you give me information? What's wrong with that?
To me, this looks like two.
Just can't give me his information.
Okay, so it's segment customer.
Morgan.
Two people who are mentally ill, kind of living on the street.
Geyser.
What is it?
Geyser. I promise she did not know.
Geyser. And then what's your date of birth?
May 16th, 2002.
You see what you guys are saying while we're watching this?
Yes.
Geyser.
No.
Let me say goodbye, please.
Okay, we will.
I will never see her again.
Yeah, you will.
No, I won't.
304.
Why?
Because I did something bad. Let me say goodbye.
We will let you say goodbye, but just stand by until we figure out what's going on. Okay?
Mooney, I think Morgan was 7 years and Anissa was, let's see, 2014 to 2021. Didn't it say 4 years and 7 years? Is that what it was? Something like that?
You
I promise. I'll let you say goodbye.
No matter what I did?
Yeah, no matter.
Last name.
That's my word, okay?
Thank you, Mom.
Okay? You're being honest with me.
I'm being honest. That's my name. Trust me, I didn't want to give it to you.
Okay.
You'll see why in a second. But she didn't know my name. She didn't know my name. Not my
That's all I have.
Didn't call it.
I have low battery.
Huh? Hold on. What is it?
May
16th.
Is that your real name? It didn't come back.
That's my real name.
What's your middle initial?
E.
E?
Trust me.
Is that your real birthday?
Yes, May 16th, 2002.
You got E as that Edward? No. Okay, middle initial.
I'm they got 59 warm meals, so what about 119 in our house?
You
She
can put
said
them in.
E, right?
Yeah, E.
304.
Or 15 or 12, always in these 10-8 situations, so.
I didn't know, I'm sorry.
How far? 014, Morgan Geyser, clear record.
Go ahead and put your hands in
You
the
said I could say
I will
goodbye.
let you. You guys go into the same place, okay?
I promise I didn't know.
Okay.
You're home, we got 2 across the street.
We're trying to one.
We'll get you warm, okay?
Yeah, I
Have you
remember that, Patty.
Have you ate anything? All right, hold on a second. Is your ID in your purse? Honestly.
We'll go
Go
through
through
It is.
Okay.
I know you will. It's not.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go through it.
Well, I got
Give me, I was a 1037 vehicle.
Try to get mid-low.
You can get the car wash, the 145 block of Cicero. It's great Honda. I'll get you a quick minute.
Hey, Ronnie, take these bags since you got gloves. Try to find an ID in her purse. She said she doesn't have one. I think she's saying that it's really, really bad. So the only really thing bad is you'll never see me again. Is I hope she didn't commit a homicide.
Boom. You'll never see me again. It's really, really. Oh, she didn't commit a homicide. Oh, man. Yeah, and I mean, I saw the comment. They got lucky here. Yeah, they did. But she was only gone for like 24 hours, which is amazing.
But the way she's talking. She's saying that that's really, really bad.
All right. Homeless couple's guidebook. Okay, well, I think that was the start of it.
Good looking one, wait, I'll be telling you.
I got a flashlight, bro.
how far?
Do I got a flashlight? Yeah, I got a flashlight. Go through this one for ID.
Good looking 29, we're tough for here. That's all I want.
Oh, for that, how far?
Let's just do it back at the station so then it's warm.
Uh,
Put all that back in the thing.
this is their stuff, right?
Did you drop your pen?
No, that's not mine.
Someone's pen's over there.
Yeah, that's his, whoever it was.
014, can we get a female, sir?
Back at the station.
Got about 28 seconds left here.
Uh,
You want them at the scene or at the
Station.
station?
station.
So, let's just charge them also because of the cannabis,
Okay.
everything.
Yeah, for sure.
That guy looks like he's just like barely joined the
Yeah,
force.
cannabis on them, so they're going for that too.
Okay, so that is the video. Now, the next video that I want to show you is a press conference that was held back in Wisconsin. This clip is about 13 minutes long. There are 2 clips. You'll see a white flash where I've edited 2 clips together. It's when Court TV went to commercial. So here is the presser.
And good afternoon, everyone.
She's the DA.
I just found out yesterday about the escape, Morgan Geyser escaping from her placement in Dane County. As Hillary indicated, I'm not here to talk about that investigation. My understanding is that the Dane County law enforcement is investigating her leaving her placement and what occurred after that. What we do know is that she left, she cut off her bracelet, she fled to Illinois, which is where she was arrested yesterday. Any charges, as Hillary stated, with regard to the investigation from her escape would be handled by the Dane County District Attorney's Office. We are grateful for the efforts of law enforcement, not only in Dane County, but also throughout the area, because obviously she was taken into custody in Illinois and is currently in custody in Illinois. In terms of what happens from here, there is an extraditable warrant for her arrest. We are verifying with Cook County which currently has Ms. Geyser in their custody. As to where we go from here, our governor's office is also in contact with the authorities to see how they can best handle getting her from Illinois back to the custody of Department of Health Services, which is whose custody she has been in since she was actually committed by the court. With regard to what happens from here, once Ms. Geyser is brought back to Waukesha County, it will be up to Department of Health Services whether they file a petition to revoke her conditional release. We are certainly hopeful that they do proceed with that. We fully support it. We support that she should be in custody. Not only should she have been in custody from 2014 forward, but also Attorney Nicolai argued vehemently for her not to be released to conditional release in, I believe it was January of this year, and therefore we will be fully supporting a petition if one is filed. Obviously, our thoughts are with the victim and the victim's family during this time. It's unfortunate.
The typing sound, I just want to assure you that that is not me. That is on. Like, whoever put the world's noisiest keyboard next to a microphone during a presser needs to be whipped with a wet spaghetti noodle. That is, come on, but we shall power through.
We found out yesterday morning about Morgan's escape. Victim witness was immediately notified of this information. The director of the victim witness unit, Jen Dunn, did reach out to the victim and her family. We were told that they had not been informed by
the victim witness, by the way, that's Peyton Leitner, right? They had not been informed.
To Ms. Dunn reaching out to them that Morgan had escaped. And I'm able to verify that when we spoke with the victim's family, or when Ms. Dunn spoke with the victim's family at 12:20 this morning or this afternoon, they still had not been informed by any other agency other than our own that she had escaped, which is very concerning. While she was on the loose, we were very concerned about the safety of the victim.
That is super concerning. There are so many safeguards for victim safety, for neighborhood safety, for all sorts. There's so many safeguards that are in place where things like this should be triggering notifications, and it seems like none of it happened. None of it.
And her family, as well as our community. We are continuing to assist them in this process. We are updating them. Our office is updating them as to what is happening, but that certainly was a concern that they were not notified of this in a more prompt manner. What we know is that there was a period of time between approximately 8 o'clock on Saturday evening to when she was taken into custody yesterday, in which she was not monitored by any person. She was on the loose and her whereabouts were unknown. So we take this very seriously. Our office will not get involved again in this case until a motion to revoke for conditional release is filed. We will then go back to court. We will fully support that motion and that petition to revoke her conditional release, and we will then go before a judge to make a decision on whether or not she will be returned to conditional release or whether she would be returned to institutionalized care, which is where she came from. And that's all I have at this time.
Did you file that motion to have her revoked or not?
No, the state, we cannot, Department of Health Services, per statute, has to file that motion. She is in their custody.
Can you appeal to them or talk to them and request that? Or?
We are in contact with the Department of Health Services, but ultimately it is their decision.
So in March, Defense Attorney Tony Cotton said that a group home would have more restrictions in place than Winnebago. Was the DA's office receiving regular updates on Ms. Geyser's time at the group home? And if so, what was that day-to-day like and monitoring like?
I do not know what the monitoring was like. I don't believe that we received any updates, although I would confer with Attorney Nicolai. We did not. Obviously, he was misstating the nature of the monitoring that was taking place.
So the warrant that you're speaking.
Let me pause for this question for Patty Olson. I live in the Chicago area. I heard on the local news that she waived extradition. I forgot what that means. She can be charged for cutting off her monitor right and punished legally. Okay, a couple questions there. Number one, the extradition refers to the fact that she is in Illinois and she escaped from Wisconsin. So there has to be an extradition back to Wisconsin. She can, because the United States, while we are one nation, we also are 50 individual states, right? So if she were in Illinois saying, no, I don't want to go back to Wisconsin, ergo she would be fighting extradition, then that would trigger a legal process where Wisconsin would file why they want her there. Illinois would probably do some kind of brief in support of that, and then a judge would determine whether or not she indeed had to go back to Wisconsin. Usually an extradition is an agreement between governors, so waiving extradition means that they don't have to go through that rigmarole. They can just send her on back. Then the last part, she can be charged for cutting off her monitor right and punished legally. So I don't know if that is a condition of her release, was that she had an ankle monitor on. So, but I don't know. I mean, she talked about it here. The DA talked about it here a little bit. The motion for the revocation of the conditional release has to come from the Department of Human Services. And then that means that she would likely go back into the mental institution. Whether or not this actually has to involve the district attorney's office, I don't know. Usually, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And I hate to sound like a lawyer here, but I guess it probably depends on a lot of factors. But yeah, the punished legally, I mean, it's just going to be a revocation of her conditional release. So back to Winnebago she goes.
Is that issued by Dane County or the state, or?
The Department of Health Services did forward that warrant to our intake judge last night, and the intake judge, from what I saw this morning, did sign that.
So it's a Waukesha County warrant?
Correct.
Through
Waukesha.
Correct, and because the case is out of Waukesha County, that's why it will come back to Waukesha County for the decision. If a petition to revoke her conditional release is filed.
All right, I think that's a little why this is a little confusing, because is there a criminal case in Dane County then? Is that a crime to cut your bracelet off if you're not under a criminal?
Certainly, again, this is a Dane County decision. As I looked at the statute, it looks like you can escape, be charged with a felony for escaping under a 971 commitment. Also, if there was damage to the bracelet when she cut it off, which I assume that there would be, that would be a crime as well. But again, that's outside Waukesha County's purview. That would be a decision. Law enforcement in Dane County, who leads the investigation, would refer charges over if they believed it was appropriate.
The ABC 2020 piece from 2018 said that her father also suffered from schizophrenia. Her mom, who they interviewed back in 2018, who seemed to be a conscientious and caring mother, also seemed, I mean, this is just me reading it. This is just my opinion. It felt like she kind of was battling her own demons too. And remember, the difference between Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire was that Morgan Geyser brought the knife. She did the stabby. And Anissa just kind of encouraged her on because they believed in this whole Slender Man thing. So, yeah, out of the two, Morgan is the more dangerous criminal in my opinion.
And
and by the way, to answer the previous question about legal punishments, the DA is answering questions right. There might be charges stemming from damaging the property and escaping. Escaping is a felony apparently, so there could be those charges.
County DA's office would make that decision.
So just to clarify, I apologize.
No,
so the warrant that she would be returned to Wisconsin on would be a Waukesha County warrant. She would be returned to Waukesha County in custody?
That's what I believe, because it's still under the custody of DHS. But again, this is her home county for charging purposes. Therefore, I believe she will be returned to Waukesha County.
At any point down the line, could you guys press any other charges?
Not in Waukesha unless we have jurisdiction to charge crimes that occur in Waukesha, and because she was in Dane County, they would have the jurisdiction to charge any crimes that occurred in Dane County. With regard to the conditional release, her violations of that order, which were as a result of a Waukesha County judge ordering it, that would be what would lead to a petition to revoke her conditional release.
And maybe Abby can speak to this, I'm not sure, but what is it that about her leaving as far as her being dangerous, I guess, or a danger to herself or others, which was the standard, right, that the judge went by, or at least that's what he said at the time?
Right. I think that one thing that is very concerning to me is that if and when a petition is filed by the department to revoke conditional release, it will be the second one that is filed, because we were here in March on a petition to revoke conditional release already. And so it's extremely concerning that you would so blatantly violate a very, very simple condition, which is to stay in a placement and keep a bracelet on. And that we have no idea what was going on is extremely concerning to the state, because immediately my thoughts went to the victim.
It was about how long was she out before she escaped? That's a good question. I think, was it January to November?
Keeping the community safe. But as additional information is gathered, that would be the kind of facts that are put into a petition to revoke, and that would be what is litigated at that motion hearing before the court, when I'd be able to gather more information, whether there are specifics about the dangerousness. But I think those blatant acts in themselves certainly speak to the dangerousness there.
There have been reports that there was a person in custody with her, or in her presence when she was arrested, where they played a role in her absconding.
We do not know any information about that person. That was information we had received, that there was a person that was outside the placement location.
Marico True, Gavin, I've read rumors, cannot find confirmation on this. Is Morgan Geyser being treated for schizophrenia? My understanding is yes, based on an ABC News 2020 piece from 2018, where they interviewed the parents of Peyton Leitner, Morgan Geyser, Anissa Wire. They also interviewed prosecutors, and part of that was the whole schizophrenia angle. In fact, one of the things that her mom was worried about in the beginning was she was being tried as an adult. That just put her in regular jail. And in regular old jail, she wasn't getting any mental health treatment. She was in there for 1.5 years before she was held into a place where she could get treatment. So that was a big part of that story from 2020's piece in 2018. That's also the piece that the mother of Morgan Geyser stated that Morgan's father had schizophrenia. So, and Morgan was diagnosed, at least in 2018, they said, with early onset schizophrenia. So that's what I learned from 2020.
But I don't have any information about that at all.
But Abby, you were concerned at that earlier revocation hearing about people that were in touch with her even while she was still at Winnebago, correct? Outside people that were contacting her, influencing her?
Right. There's a certain notoriety here that is of concern, that there are people that kind of sought her out, that there was some concern about communication with those types of individuals. We also had concern at that point with what seemed to be kind of a pushback in terms of Ms. Geyser's acknowledgement of the extent to which she'd be monitored, in terms of my reading material is going to be, that didn't seem consistent with someone that was ready to make that next step into the community.
But you have no way of knowing that this person was one of those that you were concerned about, was in contact with her at that time?
I don't know.
Would all of this happening impact a future request for a conditional release?
Certainly when those requests are made, I look back through the record in terms of assessments that have been done throughout the history of a case.
Tina May asking, was she found with a middle-aged man who is transitioning into a woman or something like that? I know they were referring to this person as her. Yeah, and it went back and forth, him and her. I caught that too. And so I was a little bit confused about that as well, but I don't know the answer to your question, Tina May.
And so I would say yes.
And just for the general public, I mean, because this isn't a sentence she was facing per se, but she still is under the control of the state. So there's leeway as to whether she is in custody or in state care in a facility or outside a facility, that type of thing. That's what you're talking about, trying to get her back to that previous level that she was inside Winnebago.
Right. Ultimately, if the petition to revoke conditional release were granted, she would go back to that institutional care placement, which would be a hospital facility.
Which is more secure, obviously, than
right.
Community-based facility.
Right, exactly.
Could you walk us back just for clarity again on the process of contacting the Leitner family once it was clear that Ms. Geyser had disappeared?
Certainly. I can tell you that I was informed yesterday morning about Ms. Geyser escaping from her placement. Prior to me even getting notification of that, I believe Ms. Nicolai and Ms. Dunn, who's the head of victim witness, also received that notification. Immediately, Ms. Dunn contacted the victim and her family to make sure that they knew about it. They did not know anything about it. We wanted to make sure that they were safe and that they had a plan in place. And I know that Ms. Dunn has been in contact with the family pretty consistently since then, offering services. And again, it was verified before we came up here that in fact, no one did contact them. Again, I would have expected that the Department of Health Services would have contacted them to let them know.
Right.
Obviously, we want to safeguard her safety and the community safety, because frankly, when she's released based upon some of the evidence that came out previous hearings, we have concerns about the safety of the community as well.
Yeah. Just for clarity, she was at that group home for, what was the duration? Was it September?
The judge, the final plan and placement was signed September 17th, I believe, and I'd like to take credit for knowing that, but again, Attorney Nicolai is the one who put together the timeline, and that was the time. So when she got to the facility, we're not sure, but that's when the court signed the order for the placement.
I heard
Looking
January.
back, do you wish that there would have been more communication between your office and a group home like that? Is that something maybe moving forward we would like to see?
Again, we're not, once the conditional release plan was signed, we really are not involved in the case. The people, DHS, they're the ones whose custody she has been given to. They would be the ones that would control that day to day. And again, I don't know what that communication is. It could have been a daily communication. It could have been a weekly communication. I'm not sure. You'd have to reach out to DHS to see exactly what that consists of. Again, our goal in our position is to hold people accountable. Certainly that's why Attorney Nicolai had advocated for the conditional release not to be granted, because that was part of the accountability and keeping our community safe.
Do you feel like there should be some mechanism to notify families in a case like this?
Absolutely. I've reached out to already some legislative personnel to see if we can't address that issue. I think that's wrong.
Any other final questions?
I think that's pretty much the end.
Thank you very much.
You don't have to listen to that typing anymore. Yeah, a couple of questions. How old is she? I understand that Morgan Geyser is about 23. I think all three of them are about 23. Let's not forget Peyton Leitner is our victim in this. And I normally wouldn't, because she was 12 years old when she became a victim of these two very sick little girls. I normally wouldn't show pictures of Peyton. However, she has been outspoken. She and her family have been outspoken and have really been incredible. So that's why I bring that up. So that is where we are. I don't want to belabor this too much, but thank you all for your amazing comments. I put as many as I could up on the screen while we were talking about it. But now, what time is it? What time is it, everybody? Time for 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Wow. Okay, guys, 3 questions with Gavin Fish. This is where y'all can send in a question that you would like me to answer to 3questions@gavinfish.com. That is spelled out THREE questions at gavinfish.com. Nothing is off the table. I will answer anything that you want to ask. Yesterday was particularly fun for me because we were talking about the first date I had with my snuggly bear, my sweetie pie, my one and only Kimberly Fish. And that brought back a lot of fun memories. In fact, it led to quite a few discussions overnight with Kimberly and the kids about good old times. Okay, bringing on up first question. Why isn't it showing? There we go. I love hearing about your wife. What's a funny or sweet memory from the early days of your relationship that still stands out? Oh, I really should have read these. A funny or sweet memory from the early days of your relationship that still stands out. Here's one. Kimberly and I, when we got married, we were 24. Neither of us had, neither of us knew what we wanted to do. Seems like kind of a weird combination for two people who have no idea what the future should bring, ought to bring, will bring, get together and start a life together. But it has been magical ever since. So I guess it wasn't all that bad. But here is something that I will share with you, because we were married in November of 1999. Our firstborn, our first daughter, was born on Christmas Day of 2000. So it was just over 13 months between the time we got married, the time we had our first child. We were living in a junky little apartment in a junky area of a nice place, but it was Carmichael, which is a good place, but it was the junky side of Carmichael, basically what we could afford. And like within a month of us being married, we thought we were pregnant, and I'm sure it was a chemical pregnancy or something, like it was testing positive, and we were so scared. We were so scared about it. And then a few days later, there was a miscarriage, and it was a relief when that happened. But then, like a week later, we started talking, and both of us expressed to the other how disappointed we were that we weren't pregnant. And then we said, does that mean that we should go ahead and just start our family? And we looked at each other and said, I think so. So we did. And in December of 2000, a little snuggly bundle of joy joined us on Christmas Day, best Christmas of my life. Number one, my wife is a vegetarian, so there wasn't a lot of meat. There hasn't been a lot of meat in our lives over our 26 years, but we went over to her folks' house that morning, and Nona, well, we didn't call her Nona yet because she wasn't one, but she was cooking bacon, and I ate so much bacon that morning. And then we went to the hospital and had our little girl. That was great. Question number 2, how has your idea of home changed over the years? You know, when we got married, hang on. When we got married, Kimberly did not want to live anywhere outside of Carmichael, California. It's where she was born and raised. It's where her grandparents were. Actually, technically, I guess her grandparents were basically right outside of Carmichael. One was in Arden Park, and then, which is Sacramento. The other one was in Sacramento. But anyway, she didn't want to be anywhere outside of 95608. And I thought that we were going to spend our entire lives in 95608. And about 3 years into owning our first home, which is about 3.5 years into our marriage, or 4 years. I can't remember if we lived in an apartment for 6 months or a year. I think it was about a year. So about 4 years into our marriage, she decided she wanted to move. Of course, she was 8.5 months pregnant with our second child, and she gets this amazing sniffer when she's pregnant. Like, it's a bionic sniffer, and there was a smell that she couldn't get rid of. She wanted out of the house. And we built a home in Ione, California. And while it was being built, we had to move somewhere because we sold our house. So we moved in with my parents in Orangevale, and from then on, we've just been on the move. So as long as Kimberly's there, as long as our children know where to come home, that's home. My idea of home before that was to plant roots and never leave, like so many people in my family have done. Last question. Do you ever feel guilty about making money off of other people's pain? This is actually, what a great question. I don't want to belabor this. How many? I've got 6 minutes. We're good. I started late tonight. Do I ever feel guilty about making money off of other people's pain? I don't think I do make money off of other people's pain. I think I am earning a living, partly as a reporter, mostly crime. I mean, this morning I was in court covering hearings. There was a homicide in Clarion County earlier this month that I've been covering, and on YouTube we do talk about true crime. I don't think I'm making money off of people's pain. I feel like I am performing an important duty as part of the Fourth Estate. Now, that may seem a little hoity-toity, but I really feel like it's important to talk about these things. I really do. I think there's tons to learn. I never feel guilty about what it is that I do for a living, because by that logic, you're making money off of people's pain. Well, so are judges, sheriffs, police officers, victims' rights advocates, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and guards at prisons, and all those things, right? That the logic is flawed. The logic is flawed. Now, where I do think that a question like this does hit a nerve is in the celebration of crime or the celebration of criminals, which I think is sick. And I'm not into it. It's not my thing. So no, I never feel guilty for what it is that I do. I work very hard to be sensitive to victims and their families. I always try to be victim-centric. And I think that it's important that we discuss these things, so I never feel guilty about it. We do have a couple more moments, so let me just see if there are any other comments before we go. Doesn't look like it. Let's see. Oh, Catalyst says, let me bring this back. Actually, hold on. Got to finish the segment. That was 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Okay. Catalyst says she wasn't in the group home in January. Gavin was wrong. Okay, so I was wrong about that. So it was September. So a couple months, looks like. Okay. Rooter777 says, thank you, Gavin. Love watching your show. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys checking in. Real quick, before we go, I do want to remind you guys that my website, gavinfish.com, is a cornucopia of true crime content. I invite you to always check it out. There's always new content up there, including Crime Cod articles. You can subscribe to the Crime Cod newsletter just by clicking on Crime Cod, going to the bottom of the website, or going to crimecod.com. It'll pop up for you. Also, if you click on this little link, that will take you over to the fish tank, where we are so close to 5,800 people inside the fish tank. If you're on Facebook, you're cordially invited to join us. We just had a new admin start, and there are a couple other people who have offered to volunteer, which we're going through the vetting process on. So yeah, if you want to be a moderator or an admin of the fish tank or a moderator of the channel, you can always reach out. The best way to reach out is on gavinfish.com. Click on this little envelope, and that will take you to a form where you can reach out to yours truly. Man, my website is a little overwhelmed right now. It's pretty darn slow, but this is where you do it. And if you want to volunteer, just choose volunteer. as it's on there somewhere. I'd like to volunteer. Yeah, just choose I'd like to volunteer. Give us your name and contact information, what we'd like to do, and I will have one of my team reach out. Okay, with that, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I especially want to say thank you to my YouTube members and my patrons. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting me. You guys are the best. We will be back tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on this here channel. We will be foregoing a live stream on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving here in the United States, a federal holiday that we all use as an opportunity to engorge ourselves on delicious Epicurean fare. So we won't be doing that on Thursday. We will be back on Friday, though, 7:30 p.m. And then the following Monday, don't forget, we will begin at 6 p.m. Eastern, as previously announced. With that, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.